Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Today we're discussing disrupting the status quo from street art to crypto art. I'm James Neary. I'm one of the co-founders of the Digital Art Fair, and more importantly, or equally importantly, this is my journey. I started collecting street art in early 2000. I was living in London, and this was the first piece that I bought, which is Banksy's signature flower thrower. And everybody told me I was an idiot. Everyone told me, this was the stupidest thing and street art would never become anything. And, I persisted. I was like, no, I think it will be something. And then I also bought the next one. So I own with the girl with the balloon, the original, from the edition of 25. And actually when I bought this, someone at my office actually found out about it. And they told everybody else in the office, and I came in the next day, and they were laughing at me. They were literally rolling on the floor, laughing at me. They're like, "How could you spend money on this graffiti art? It's ridiculous." Blah 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 blah. So I persisted, and I just kept buying. And then I also bought this one recently, which is also one of my favorites. It was actually the Banksy that I always wanted. Called Fallen Angel. So I always had my eye on this one. So I've been collecting Banksy since early 2000s, and then I moved into other street art, including Payak, which we have over there. And I bought this one called, I think it's called Tearing Us Apart. So basically it's all of the people coming together. If you circle in, you can see that. But if you zoom out, it looks like a huge crack tearing apart.
Yeah, very cool.
So, he's like one of the biggest sort of social conscience artists at the moment. And I just loved his work as well. And then 2009, I started collecting digital art. And again, everyone said, oh, you're buying a JPEG, a movie, what are you doing? And I was like, I just persisted. I was like, I think this could be the future. And for 10 years, it wasn't the future. It was just a crazy idea. And then NFTs came along, and then everything changed very quickly. And that's my story. Julia?
Yeah, I think instead of collecting myself, actually I have been working for Christie's for over 9 years, and I have been successfully observing and trying to get some Asian collectors, starting buying first from Basquiat, and then to Banksy, and then this time the Beeple, so all the way to NFT. And I do observe the trend as well as interest in the market. So this is, if we're talking about street art. Thank you, Benji. I just make some few slides, let you feel it. So Basquiat's definitely, I think, being perceived as the #1 street art pilot back to 1980s. And I think if you really think about his tools, it's mainly like the spray paint. And then I think in terms of the theme of the street art back to 80s, it's more about the dichotomies of like wealth and poverty. I think it's all about the unbalance of the society he wants to express from his painting. And this is Basquiat. I think so far is the highest auction record. Auction at Sotheby's 2017 is around over 110 million US dollar. So I think Basquiat is one of the very top street art artist. And next slide, and definitely we need to talk about the Banksy. I think within this year, before I left Christie's in this September, a lot of Asian collectors as well as Chinese collectors, they now buying Banksy at very high value because they feel Banksy really is a kind of person, secret, but also have a lot of thoughts about anti-capitalism, anti-war, all related with the current issues of the society. And he can express it in a very, very good way. And his skill is something related with Szabotage, use stencil. Because Banksy said, sometimes to paint on the wall really takes a lot of time, and the policeman may come. So stencil is a very fast way to paint on the wall and finish it. So this is about Banksy. And then moving on, the reason I show a lot of interest in NFT, and now I think Benji is this chairman of this world's first physical NFT art gallery in K11 Museum, and I'm the investor, is really because of this. I think in early March, when Beeple's, the first 5,000 a day, reached a high level auction price, everyone got interested. I think he is really the pilot, really tell people actually using digital art, you still can talk about some society issues, some politics, but in a digital way. So he really opened the door. And then the last slide, also about NFT, is also something special about NFT, not with the physical art, because NFT, because of digital, you can use a lot of technology to create art, including machine learning, AI. So I think that's why this you can still see downstairs really achieve a very high record for the artists themselves. So you feel street art and NFT to a certain extent, they link together.
Yeah.
But we will elaborate more later.
It has that rebel culture to it.
Yes.
You know, that going against the grain, that we don't care.
Yeah.
You know, what other people think is art, we're going to say and express ourselves.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you.
Gus, Szabotage, who's been doing street art for many, many years.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to be here, and with these names that are flying around, I'm so honoured to be here as well. Yeah, just a little insight on myself. My name is Szabotage. I am a street artist. I've been here in Hong Kong for the last 8 years or so. Prior to that, I was in London. I studied architecture. I had a couple of art shows in London, which were very successful, but it was actually predominantly my interior job that got me out to Hong Kong. So when I came out to Hong Kong, I really wanted to push the street art stuff even more, because there seemed to be not so much street art here as there was in Shoreditch, where I was based in London. But yeah, been a full-time artist now for about 2 years or so, and I guess my journey with NFTs kind of made the transition from summer last year in 2020, when Ben, actually, a collector of my work, introduced me and said, "How about NFTs?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" But yeah, since then I wanted in and produce some NFTs. My first piece, I don't know if we've got the slide. This is my first piece actually that I NFT'd. Now, this was a piece of street art that I produced in Square Street in Yangon, and kind of it got painted over, but I really favoured this piece, and that's the piece I felt I could NFT. So the advantage, obviously, of NFTing it meant that I could record this, document its time of when it was painted, and give some descriptions. And now that's on the blockchain for a lifetime now, and that's really exciting for me to be able to rejuvenate a piece of work that was painted over and now lives on the blockchain. So my journey then continued with this show, actually. So we had a collection which I created in my studio. Well, this is another piece that I actually painted back a while back, part of the journey, should I say, but it's not the ultimate thing I actually wanted to talk about. It's more that the collection downstairs that I focused on was how I wanted to bridge the gap between digital art and the physical art. So you see the two pieces marry up downstairs with a physical. Then we have an actual screen, a Samsung screen, showing the animation of the pieces, and also bring a street element to the way that we display. So I've painted around those pieces themselves. My journey with NFTs is probably going to develop even further, and it's I think the advantage of NFT is how you can sort of describe your journey around that image that we have, or the physical. It gives that extra depth. So it's not about 2D anymore. It's not even about 3D. It's even about 4D. So you can describe the process, and this piece in particular was describing the process from start to finish, which really means a lot to me and just opens up a new world to me. So it brings a new audience, and obviously on the blockchain it's very global for us, so yeah, exciting. And I think my next venture after that is to concentrate on bringing that studio practice a bit more to the streets. I'm really interested, because I am a street artist, and what you see downstairs is all sort of physical canvas work. I want to bring the digital element to my street art, and get people involved in that and participate in that. And it's not about exclusivity; it's about for everyone just to get involved. So, what's going to happen next is going to be exciting times for me, I think.
All right, and Ben from Jenny Dow is a street art collector and an NFT collector.
Hello,
So
everybody. Hey.
Introduce yourself and give us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. So my name is Benji. I'm the founder of Jenny Dow, which is a decentralized autonomous organization which buys NFTs and fractionalizes them. So with $10 worth, you can get access to a whole collection of NFTs which have been curated by some of the greatest minds in the NFT space. I'm also chairman of Start Art Gallery, which is at K11 on 5th floor, so check it out if you guys have time. And James, I just want to say congratulations on what you've done with this event. It's been a huge success. And NFTs until now really lacked context. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about the NFT movement, as far as crypto goes, is that we have a whole new demographic entering the crypto space, which wasn't the case before. Before it was highly male-dominated, people in their 20s, lots of geeks. And now all of a sudden you've got a lot more creative people, really different brackets of people which we didn't see before. And I think you're doing a great job at this. And
Thank you.
Particularly in Hong Kong, where we've got some of the biggest private art collections. I think it's a very good place to do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, just a little side point. Yeah, I think that both street art and NFT art have a community. And this community are basically saying these are our champions. These are the guys who we believe in. And it's outside of, both of them were outside of the traditional art world. And they kind of rose up independently from the traditional art world until the art world had to take notice in some ways. And so it's funny because like all the same things I heard about street art in the early 2000s, it's sophomoric, it's gimmicky, it's fatty, it's gonna go away. I heard all those same arguments about NFT art, when it first started a year ago. And to be honest, I was on that side in the original point as well. But then I was like, you know what? I've heard this before. This is exactly the same thing playing out again. And the community is so strong now, and the technology to communicate within the community, with Twitter and Discord and Signal and Telegram and everything else. The information gets shared so quickly, and the community is global. So yeah, I think that's what's super exciting. So Julia, the question is, do you think NFT art will disrupt the art world the same way street art does? I guess that's kind of obvious.
You just
so how
answered.
do you think that NFT art will disrupt the art world?
Yeah, I think just in terms of a few perspectives. Number one is where you usually see this kind of arts. Think about street art, first of all. It's really open to public. You probably can see it everywhere on the wall at the very initial stage. While for NFT, you probably can see it everywhere there is a screen. And then nowadays in the civil life, there are many, many commercial places you see screen. And I think people can really show the digital art everywhere. So I think in terms of accessibility to the market, it's actually very similar. This is number one. Number two, I think in terms of the target audience, I think street art, in terms of the audience, is really those people, young people, or those minority, they really want to challenge the existing authority. That's like back in 80s and also to Banksy as well. And think about NFT, they are the same. So I'm from a fine art background. I know when NFT came up and it reached a very high record in the auction houses, I've heard a lot of traditional art authorities kind of question the NFT. So I think in terms of the challenges they face, something similar. But NFT, the whole community is really encourage this kind of innovation as well as decentralized mindset. So I think to a certain extent, this bunch of community really similar between NFT and street art. And then I think in terms of the style of the NFT and street art, both of them are actually very self-explanatory. So if a kid, they will look at street art, you directly can get the spirit or the language the artist wants to talk to the public. Same thing for NFT. If you look at Beeple, obviously you know what he's talking about. Look at the Gus, your NFT. People understand. I think from the style-wise, it's also similar. So I think it's very cool, and like James, you just mentioned, NFT, because now we are living in a very modern, very well-connected society, the community can be glued even stronger because the message can be transmitted very fast. So I really believe that NFT to a certain extent gonna show the similar way as traditional street art has already shown the disruptive changes to the society.
If I can add to that, I think rather than think of it as disruptive, I think of it more as complementary. And crypto and street art are both very rebellious, anti-establishment movements. I think that street art generally has a very short lifespan because they get painted over, the buildings get torn down, and putting on the blockchain gives immutability, which allows the art to have a much longer lifespan. And what I particularly like about it is that generally our cities don't have enough street art because the artists don't get paid very much to do it. And it's a public good which makes our cities more beautiful and we want more of it, but you just have to incentivize artists to do more of it. And just like, in the Renaissance you had the Medicis, which would commission paintings with their own faces on biblical portraits, for example. And now you've got the Sistine Chapel, which millions of people can still enjoy. And you ended up having a public good, which was subsidized by a vanity product, which was paid for by wealthy people. And by creating NFTs of street art, you're actually able to subsidize a public good by having crypto people or investors buying a piece which they can use for personal vanity reasons.
Yeah, I think that's a great, and I think also NFTs give you that ability because nobody wants people to steal street art off the streets, but the artists also need to make a living. So if you can make NFTs of the works in situation and you can generate revenue off the back of that, then it can complement and feed your future projects.
Absolutely.
Without taking away from the public good.
Yeah.
Gus, so how can digital art complement street art?
One artist in particular I've been following, his name is Kiwi, and he paints street art, and along that he sells an NFT. And when you buy the NFT, you get a metal plaque with the coordinates of where that street art is. Now I find that really interesting that metal plaque now has the coordinates, so the person is supposed to have the rights of that. I mean, whoever has the rights of these street art, is questionable. But the fact that there's a connection between that street art, the NFT, I think is amazingly interesting. And I would set out almost in the same way to try and do the same for myself, to try and make that
kind of
connection.
twinning.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Twinning the digital and the physical. Yes.
And of course, there's all the advantages of provenance, and if it's on the blockchain, you could link it to all the articles that have ever been written by it.
Yeah, totally. And
you can see the owner history, the transparency on the pricing.
Yeah, I mean, and Kiwi's looking to sort of go around the world, literally doing this piece of street art and sharing these coordinates. And I just think it's an amazing opportunity, to be able to sort of see the world and to sort of spread the love of street art and, make it accessible to everyone, a global sort of audience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it makes total sense. Ben, how does digital technology and blockchain give power to the people and bring together a community?
Show me the incentive. I show you the results. If people are financially incentivized to make something work, and you've got enough people who are working towards that same goal, then you will get a movement around it.
Yeah.
And this is something that until now has only been possible with, in as far as digital assets go, only possible with blockchain technology. And this is what NFTs bring to the art space.
Do you think there's an overly focus at the moment on NFTs on value and pricing rather than ideas?
Yes. I think a lot of NFTs probably will be going to zero eventually.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of a new market.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it's the same with street art. There's a lot of street artists who were around when Banksy started that have also gone to zero. I actually own quite a few of them. And Julia, what is the importance to education, and how do we bridge the digital and physical gap?
Well, I think number one, physical and digital gonna parallelly grow together. Number one. Number two, they will have a kind of link or cross down the road. So I think do not just feel NFT may someday die. That's number one thing. But then, as we discussed before, number one, I think if you really look at the art history, physical art, like evolution history, it has been very, very long time. And then in terms of authoritative museum, authoritative critics, authoritative collectors, everything is already being developed. I mean, over thousands, maybe hundreds of years. But NFT is very new. I would say it's very, very at a nascent stage. So there's no authority. And then I don't think so far the very mature ecosystem has been established. So I think for NFT, what I really think down the road going to be more and more people going to come in and they think about how let people understand NFT more. So artists, I think number one needs to be more open to share your thoughts. I think pretty much like when you're talking about Impressionist modern, when Picasso, a bunch of artists, Impressionist modern artists, they started this kind of school in Paris. They really form a kind of theme, and they want to exhibit this curated style, let more people understand about themselves. And then some big curator or dealers, they came in and they helped them to build a certain show. And this really helped this kind of school or this trend develop longer down the road. I think for NFT now, I think digital art fair is a great initiative, first of all, to let more artists show the diversity of NFT. And down the road, maybe you'll attract a lot of critics or curators wants to be more involved to establish this ecosystem. Yeah. So I think this is at a very, very early stage, but I think it will be somehow with a lot of potential.
Do you think it's true that many art movements when they start, whether it's Impressionism or Picasso or Basquiat or street art or NFTs, are rejected by the establishment because they're so new and different, and it threatens their power base?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think if you look at Duchamp, right? So his works has been rejected multiple times when he wants to enter some important exhibition. So all the newer movements, you're definitely going to feel a lot of challenges. But I would say art evolution really go together with the whole society technology evolution. So I think NFT somehow reflects the technology and the society evolution from the normal world to the blockchain, right?
I mean, it's the culture of the moment. It's what everybody's, it's the cultural lightning rod of what's happening in society at the moment, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the key thing as well about the question was, you know, the education side of things and how street art is able to hold an audience, you know. You create a piece of street art and it's getting photographed. And street art has been used in many ways, I think, to inform the public of certain movements or current affairs that are going on. And one in particular where digital has been supported by that is, you know, street artists have actually created a mural, and along with that has been the AR. And in the case of Break the Chain was a recent movement that I got asked to paint on. And that was about sort of endangered species and stopping the sale of endangered species worldwide and in Hong Kong. And that's just priceless, that sort of ability to reach out to their audience and use the digital technology to sort of push the message home. So.
Yeah, I think you've seen that in both street art and NFT art, where the artists are championing causes they believe in. I mean, Banksy's commenting everything from the EU to the migrant problem to climate change to the politics of the British government, to everything. I mean, he comments on almost everything that's happening, and the NFT guys are doing the same. But I guess that's happened throughout art history for many, many years, where guys are commenting on the news and the culture of the day. From a collector's perspective, Ben, what excites you the most about what are the new trends within crypto art?
Sure. People are coming up with new ideas every day, and I myself have a hard time keeping up, which is why having a DAO where you've got a collective and using the wisdom of the crowd to decide on the most exciting projects is often a good learning experience for myself as well. In terms of trends, putting aside all the macro political picture right now, I'm extremely excited about Chinese NFTs. Okay. I think that a lot of the early movements in the NFT space have happened outside of China. Yeah. But we've seen over and over again that China's just catch up with a vengeance. And some of the biggest collectors in the world right now are starting to become Chinese. So artists like Shi Zhang, for example, I think are extremely interesting. And I think you're also exhibiting some as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's one big trend. The other big trend, the massive trend that's happening is gaming and NFTs in gaming. And you've got Axie Infinity now, which is not just the biggest game in the world, it's the biggest not just the biggest blockchain game in the world, it's the biggest revenue generating game period in the world, making $1 billion a month. And blockchain has had its Angry Birds moments. So Angry Birds showed that it's possible to have a very successful game on mobile. Axie Infinity has showed that it's possible to have a massively popular game on blockchain. And now
we're kind of seeing a blurring of the lines between what's gaming, what's art, what's
absolutely
movie, what's entertainment, what's cerebral, what's not, you know?
Yeah. And these utility type of NFTs in the metaverse are going to become something absolutely massive. So, you know, a project which the Jenny DAO has been interested in recently, for example, is Cyberkongs. They bought $1 million worth of land in Sandbox. They're building the metaverse. They're building their own in-game economy, which is going to be revolving around the banana coin. And you've got all these gorillas, which are NFTs, which are going to have utility in the game. Nobody knows exactly how those are going to be used, but I've just got the sense it's going to be something very big.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Pack Lost Poet project, where he's basically given pages of a poetry book, and you don't know what's going to be written on these pages yet. And you trade these pages. He just announced a few weeks ago that you buy if you trade 3 pages, you get a poet. And then we don't know what the poet's going to... So there's so many unanswered questions, but that's what makes it exciting, right? That's what makes it engaging. That's what makes it pushing the boundaries of what an artistic experience is. And you know, in particular for me, what's super, super crazy exciting is generative art, right? Up until now, all art has been static, whether it's a photo, a video, an MPEG or whatever, it's always the same. But now you have these art pieces that are connected to the internet, like the Shred Outside or the generative pieces by Rafik Downstairs, where they'll constantly update, they'll never be the same. Every time you look at it, it's a different artistic experience. And that's something that's never happened before, and I find that super exciting, along with the immersive experience as well, because just the sensory aspects and just the level of participation and senses that you get from experiencing in this way is just something that we've never experienced before. And Julia, for you, what areas are exciting you within the trends and the future of digital art and crypto art? And
Yeah, these days actually, I'm a very late comer to this whole NFT community.
Yeah.
But I feel there are a few different types of NFT. I think I also checked the nonfungible.com. There's a website. They really give you stats. If you have time, take a look as well. I think all the way to end of September, the biggest NFT so far is collectibles. So all the NFT PFP projects like Punk or Ape, I think this really helped build a very strong community. But down the road, I think for artist pieces, going to be another interesting, because now I've noticed people now more focused on whether this is very good art when they design the faces. So I think people now shifted toward only making money from, trade those face things to more focus on the art itself. So I think artists quite a few edition pieces of artworks from the artists are going to also be another trend we're going to see. Definitely, I agree that generative art going to attract more attention, because also I think a lot of young people now is the very major force of buying NFT. They're really fascinated by technology. For the traditional fine art, people feel fascinated by Picasso because you can never draw things like him. And same thing for NFT, generative art, you use some technology algorithm and people feel it's not something I use iPad and I can make it happen. So I think that this is something I agree is going to be another important trend.
And Gus, for you, what areas within street art and crypto art are most exciting for you, or where do you see things going?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in the creative process more than anything, and how NFT is able to obviously add that another dimension. So I've got pieces downstairs that are accompanied by, the animation, the sound. For me, that's an opportunity now to inject a bit of wit, or just inform the viewers of how that work was generated. And that opportunity has never been happened before with just sort of the art itself, or the physical itself, or the street art itself. So, it's exciting times really, and I'm looking to explore that even further, I think.
Okay, and what do you guys think about in terms of where we'll be in 5 or 10 years with regards to NFTs and street art and everything else? My own personal view is that because of the royalty and the provenance situation, almost all art will move this way in terms of twinning, at least at a minimum. But I'd love to hear your ideas or thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not sure where NFT is going to be in 2 weeks, let alone 5 years.
Yeah. But we're definitely seeing Murakami, Hearst, and we're going to see others basically moving into the space and creating these twinning projects. And you can with Hearst project, you can redeem it at the end, and you can have the print or you can have the NFT. So there's all this flexibility and new ideas, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think from my point of view that street art and how engaging street art is, and bringing that digital element to it, I think it's going to be so exciting how people are going to be able to interact with these things, and just coming up with new formulas of how to sort of get people involved. That's just totally exciting for me. So yeah, it's to be explored.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I think number one, in terms of the marketing promotion, the availability to so many people, I think digital art going to help street art go to broader audience, because everyone can see your art pieces on the internet. This is number one. Number two,
So
I think
is the internet your new street?
yeah, because I think a lot of places they install digital LED screen, and they all connected to the internet. So it's actually not only on your personal computer, but also in the public places. You can see more. So I think this is number one. I think number two, just to think about the virtual reality. I think these days, I'm sure many people have already watched the Real One Player or the Free Guy. So I think metaverse down the road with the game engine and all this technology, people still want to create that virtual reality world. So down the road, maybe 5 or 10 years, we're going to have this kind of virtual reality world. Like kids, young kids, probably already going to be one of the early batch of residents. And they love to be like their home, maybe they're going to choose some digital art to decorate their virtual home. So I think that this definitely, I feel this is going to be the human whole society behavior change down the road. My daughter has been watching iPad almost like 1/3 of her free time. So I think this is a behavior you cannot stop. So I think that that's another power of digital art when they empower to the currently traditional street art as well.
I also think with my sort of studio practice, though, I'll be collecting and focusing a bit more on the metadata. I just think that will really help inform the artwork itself, and see how that can sort of distribute itself amongst the audience.
Yeah, because I guess provenance, going back to my own experience with Banksy, I mean, there was so many fake Banksys in the late 2007 to 2012, and then he created this group called the Pest Control, which would basically authenticate everything, and they have this master spreadsheet. And they basically has each person's name, the piece of art they have, the date, the price, everything. So it's kind of a blockchain in some ways. But yeah, it has to go that way, because it's so easy to replicate this stuff that we need a provenance so it can be easily tradable and frictionless in terms of intermediaries and stuff like that. And then obviously with digital art, we've lowered the transaction cost so much versus what it used to be. In a traditional gallery, if it was 30, 40, 50%, and then at auctions it's 20, 30% as well, whereas OpenSea is 2%, 2.5%, right? So, but that also opens doors for manipulation.
And on top of that, I think in terms of the maintenance of traditional fine art, it's also very expensive. You have to think about the maintenance, anything like restorage, and also the insurance. While for digital, it's easy to just to keep it on the internet.
But digital has its own problems. Is that the technology becomes obsolete.
Yeah.
So from my original digital art that I bought in 2009, this was before HD, before 4K, before HK, and so 8K. So I've had it updated like literally multiple times. New computers, new devices, and then not only that, but I've had to get new displays because the technology has improved, and of course the experience has gotten better and better. But I think that will continue as well. But then you have problems obviously with street art as well. Especially some of the mediums, like the cardboard one that I showed. Cardboard only lasts 20 years, right? So we're almost at 20 years now. So I've got it in a box, and hopefully it'll be sealed, and we won't have too many problems. But
yeah, I mean that's interesting because I have got a digital downstairs that the whole there's layer upon layer upon layer about the process, and that's actually documented in the digital. But I've kind of enshrined it in lacquer, just hoping that will have a little bit more longevity than it's supposed to have, and it'd be interesting to see which one will outlast the other.
the NFT or the physical.
Yeah. but it's got a good fighting chance now. I think.
Okay. Which artists, I'll open that next to you, which artists do you find who are pushing the envelope in street art and crypto art to you, and who are you excited about?
I'm extremely excited about. I'm watching P-Boy at the moment, what he's doing, and that and Kiwi have been exciting for me. And there's a documentary that P-Boy has just sort of released about his recent Sustained Chapel painting. Just got to save up enough and try and invest as well. So yeah, that's one I'm kind of keeping focused on.
Ben?
I'm a big fan of P-Boy as well. In fact, it's
Sorry, I stole your thunder then.
Seems I need to Google P-Boy.
P-Boy he's really one of the first crypto artists. So he was doing street art, but then embedding secret messages inside the art where you could uncover Bitcoin wallets.
Okay.
So this was kind of pre-NFT movement, but he was really one of the pioneers in the whole crypto art movement. And so I started collecting his stuff a couple of years ago. And when I met Gus and started buying some of his street art, I thought, you've got to do something similar in Hong Kong. So he's also somebody I'm very excited about. Somebody I really like a lot is Sarah Zucker. Sarah Zucker is one of the first crypto artists. She's female. I think at that time there weren't many females in the space. And she really defined a whole movement in crypto art. So if you're buying Impressionism, you might want to get the Van Goghs or the Monets. If you're getting crypto art, I think getting some of the pioneers such as Sarah Zucker could also be very interesting.
Okay.
And there'll be museum pieces, I think, in a couple of years.
Yeah,
Julia?
talking about Sarah Zucker, I think during the Start Art Gallery opening, we showed one piece of Sarah Zucker. It's actually machine learning. It is a real-time video the artist took of a Canadian artist, and then Sarah Zucker used the Impressionist modern style to process that video. So the whole output becomes a very Impressionist modern style, but a real artist as the hero in the video. So very cool. And I think for me, I'm very open-minded. I actually like Gus, your thing downstairs. Yeah, really bring a lot of fancy ideas into your street art, original idea. And also I think the Jackie Tai, the one that you see, that he is doing collaboration with the Gen Generation. He recently also has a new NFT, it's a programmable NFT. The whole is a video, but it can change according to the weather, according to the season. So I really think NFT really give you more things that you can explore compared with the physical. Yeah.
And from my perspective, I mean, obviously I love Banksy.
Yeah.
But Payak is probably, from the street artists that I follow, is probably one of the guys who I'm most excited about. I think his ideas, are very timely. They're all about social conscience and how man's affecting the environment, and how we're, basically not taking care of our home. And I just love his ideas and his execution on so many things. And then on the traditional digital art or crypto art, I mean, I love the generative stuff. So, I mean, I love the Rafik stuff, obviously. I love what Pac's doing because I just don't know what he's doing, but it's interesting and exciting. Obviously, the Shred, the Kanagar outside, and Reyes as well, another generative kind of pioneer. I love that stuff as well. And then my heart is, my first piece of digital art was Yangon Liang downstairs. So I've been collecting him since 2009. And although he's not doing NFTs yet, in terms of what he's doing and the execution and the ideas, I just find that so beautiful, and I could just stare at that video screen for hours. I already have, but I just really, really, really love what he's doing. And then obviously, some of these guys, Mad Dog Jones and Fuckrender, they have some very interesting sort of like animation, and then what Derry's doing downstairs with some of the photography. Especially love that Hong Kong drive home piece that he did.
Yeah, amazing.
And it's just a super exciting space full of like lots of people with lots of interesting ideas, and I just can't wait to see where it goes.
Cool.
So there's a famous Canadian philosopher, a media philosopher called McCullen, and he has this famous line that the medium is the message. And so now we are in NFTs, and how do you think that the medium is the message? Gus?
Can I pass on this one to someone else?
All right, we'll throw to Ben.
Sure. I think until now we lacked a medium,
Yeah.
and I think events like the one that you're creating are really creating the medium.
Yeah.
So I think you really should be answering this question.
Oh.
But art always needs to be put in context.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the impressionist artists would actually build their own frames around the art.
Yeah.
So it's not just the art itself; it's really how you present it and where it's shown that changes everything. And this is what you're bringing. I've been excited about NFTs for a while, and I used to work for an exchange. And NFTs a year ago were doing 10,000. So OpenSea globally was doing $10,000 of volume a day, and we would list one shitcoin that could do $100 million of volume a day. And it was I think that the world has really changed, and the world's now a lot. The mass is ready to accept both blockchain and NFTs, and people like you are helping bring it to the masses. I think investors like Julia in Startup Gallery are also working in this direction, and this is really going to be exciting space in the next couple of years.
And Julia, the medium is the message?
Yeah, it's very interesting because really if you think about fine art, they initially think like canvas is the important medium as well as the oil. But then when Fontana came out, he just cut the canvas and he feels that's another way to explore the media into a 3D level. So I think in terms of NFT, now what we are seeing is NFT like screen style. But also in the digital art fair, you have this virtual reality glasses. So we don't know what's going to be maybe 4D or 5D experience down the road for digital art. So I think that there are a lot of things we can expect.
Okay. Well, I think the medium is the message is kind of, I think what he was getting at is like, everyone's talking about the same thing over and over again: love, hate, jealousy, striving for success, and then it's just done in a different medium across each generation. And obviously this generation, we're all crypto native now, or not all of us, but I mean the level of proficiency in society has gone exponential over the last year, call it. And this is our culture, and NFTs is kind of the lightning rod, and is the cultural thing that everyone can get behind. The community is getting behind it. And when he said the medium is the message, he would often change it to medium is the mass age, or he would change it to medium is the mess age. So I think that in many ways that kind of captures to a certain extent where we're at. And it's exciting and chaotic, and nobody knows where it's really going to go, and that's half the fun. So any final points on where we're going and what we should expect? Yes?
Should we go to the bar? No, I just think there's some exciting things happening, and I just can't wait to get my teeth into it. It's exploring this new field is just regenerated. My whole sort of persona as an artist and what I do, my whole practice as an artist. So let's watch this space. Soon to be revealed, I think.
Okay, Ben?
I think democratization of art space is happening right now. So we've seen all of a sudden, with thanks to crypto, everybody could become a hedge fund manager. And now with NFTs, all of a sudden, everybody is expert in art history and curator. I personally, I know very little about art history, but I am getting deeply involved in the space, probably in a capacity which I would never have if it had not been thanks to crypto and blockchain. And what this means is that we're really going to redefine the law of rules. We're not necessarily going to go through the contemporary art has already broken a lot of rules. And then if you mentioned Murakami, who's a famous contemporary artist who tried to get into NFT space, and it was actually his first attempt was a pretty bad failure. And he tried to enter the NFT space by adding this huge disclaimer to his OpenSea auction, which is probably something which should have been accepted in the traditional space and was completely rejected by the crypto community. And this is just one example how we're really going to redefine all the rules, and we're going to see things that we've never seen before happening in NFT art. So that's it.
Julia?
Okay, my thought is very simple. sometimes talk to your kids or young generation more. Because I think when the punk reached a very high auction result, I could not understand it. So I talked to my daughter. I say, if you have enough money, how much you're going to put your money on your clothes versus how much you're going to put on the punk? She said, definitely I'm going to put 10 times on punk. I was very surprised at that time. Then I asked her why. She said, the clothes will anyway, worn out, etc. But punk gonna stay there forever, and it's pretty cool. So I said, oh, if I could have listened to her earlier, I'd probably already be rich. So, but what I want to say is, young generation, they have no thoughts by so-called authority before. So their view, their thoughts may be very naive, but they're really into the essence of now the NFT, because there's no authority now. And the young generation gonna be the future. So listen to them more. They may not be 100% correct, but some of their points we probably can learn from.
On that point, I saw a very interesting post by Gary V on Instagram recently, and he was talking about, obviously people have been buying things for status and signaling for millennium, right? But you can't see if someone's got a Picasso in their house, and you can't see if they've got a ski chalet in Verbier or whatever it may be. But you can see very quickly that they've got a blue tick. You can see, on their OpenSea account, which pieces of art they have very quickly. You can see how many followers they have. You can see, all of their connections very, very quickly. So these become the new social signaling ways that people communicate in society. And in some ways, perhaps, maybe these virtual signals are becoming more powerful and more obvious than the old physical signals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was such a, when I heard that, I was like, wow, I just like a snap, right?
Yeah. Cool.
So we have a few questions here. So to everyone, following on the important topic of context, how we define the future with the merging of digital and physical, what does that mean for street artists? How are they going to merge into the digital format?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've kind of been thinking about the whole process, and I just think that there's so many opportunities to be able to draw the crowd in, draw the audience in ways that you reward people that follow you.
Yeah.
Incentivize. You're able to share your work in that way. So, maybe there's some sort of stunts that you could put in or throw into the artwork itself, where if they were to capture something earlier on, if you were to sell a blank space, maybe that you were going to paint a mural on, they could actually put bids on or whatever the blank space already, not knowing what could come up. So I mean, there's so many opportunities out there. I haven't really put my head towards it, but I'm sort of looking to see where I could find something niche, and make my mark in the ways that P-Boy has or even Neary has, so yeah.
And Ben, would you consider crypto art or digital art a subculture, or is it now mainstream?
Definitely still subculture. I think it's still far away from mainstream. Yeah, we've definitely gone a long, long way over the past year.
Yeah.
But just to get, just acceptance of these things as art. Pudgy Penguins, I think is highly recognized within the NFT community.
Yeah.
As soon as you go outside the NFT community, you'll find very few people who will really recognize this as art, or even something with a lot more artistic value, such as punks. I think outside the crypto community will still have a hard time getting accepted, but we've gone a long way over the past year.
And Julia, same question to you.
I think it's evolving. When you see more traditional auction houses, they're trying to auction this crypto NFT things, no matter it's graphic or it's NFT like punk or ape, you feel at least that they help NFT communities to marketing the normal traditional art collectors. And there are some people now starting buying ape. Punk for them, I think maybe they still don't get it because it's based on pixels. But I think ape, they feel it's a kind of culture and it's a kind of very cool social status for them. So I think, but for now, I agree with Ben, it still takes some time, but thanks to traditional auction houses, more galleries trying to promote on that direction.
When it becomes mainstream, it's time for us to find something else to do.
Yeah.
I think we still have a few months left. Okay, well, I'd like to thank you all for joining the discussion today. And if there's any questions in the audience or anybody has any comments, I'll open it up. Hannah?
Mine's gone blank.
Good.
Yeah, all good.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you very much,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Well
time.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank
Boom, boom,
you.
Thank you.
boom, boom, boom.
Awesome. Good.